And welcome everybody to a new episode of the Consistent Performance Podcast. This is Killian, and today it's about why there are no bad teams, there's only bad leaders. So, this is something I've learned myself recently, that you can give so many expectations for people in your team, right? But in the end, the responsibility is always on you as the leader. So, you might be thinking about this right now. You're maybe an agency owner, e-commerce entrepreneur, coach, consultant, something similar, and you're growing your team right now, right? Let's say you want to grow to seven figures, or you're already at seven figures, and you want to grow to higher figures. Well, you need a team, right? And you probably need to grow your team further to be able to achieve that. The problem is when you start to get more team members, is that things start to get chaotic. The expectations are not lined up, and you're basically getting very much frustrated because things are happening all the time, right? I see that with my clients a lot as well. Some of them, they have big teams, they have 8-figure or higher e-commerce companies, and they have big teams already, and they see all the time that things happen. And then, when things happen that you didn't want to happen, like someone screws something up, people go to vacation without saying anything or coordinating it with each other. And then in the end, the fires have to be put out by the CEO, by the owner. It's always the same thing. And so this is something where you as the owner get frustrated because it costs your time. You have to put out fires, and you're not working on the business that you want to grow the business further, to put nice structures in place, but you're always going to be working in the business. So, and it's so easy in those situations to say, oh man, I just have a bad team, and basically blame the team for not doing what you want them to do. And that's the first logical reaction, right? But if you start that to say the team is bad, then you're doomed to blaming and not taking responsibility. And that's an idea from the book Extreme Ownership, Jocko Willink, great book, where they say that the responsibility as the leader in any type of team is to take on extreme ownership for anything that happens in any project or with any team that he's responsible for. So when something goes wrong, you're leading a team as the owner of your company, and they do something wrong, then you have to take ownership and say, it's on me. I screwed it up. It sounds a bit counterintuitive, but that's exactly what you have to do. Why? Because in the end, you didn't set the expectation right. You didn't put the right SOPs in place. You didn't train the team properly, or you hired the wrong people for that certain position. So maybe you should have fired them earlier, right? Or you should have trained them better. Things like that. So in the end, it's on you, because if you start blaming, you're not going to be in the improvement mindset. You're going to be in the mindset, I did everything correct. The person should have done it better. But in that way, you're losing control of the situation. You maintain control only when you say, what could I have done better? It's my responsibility. I should put the instructions better, create the SOPs better, set better expectation during the onboarding. And what do I also have to do to uphold those expectations? They also say a great thing, when a team is not doing what you want them to do, you have to look at yourself. That you can tell all the expectations in the world, like, oh yeah, we do this here and we want to do that. But then if something goes wrong, how do you react? Do you uphold those expectations? Do you point people to the SOPs and the values and everything in your company, the expectations that you have set up? That is something I'm working on, and I'm improving myself right now, step by step as well, because it's so crucial. It's so crucial. If you don't do that, then what's going to happen is, people just have low performance as the new standard. That's really a problem. People have low performance as the new standard if you don't have solid foundations in your company in place, where you have the mindset of, okay, a mistake can happen, but it shouldn't happen again. Mistakes happen. We document the mistake, create a Loom video on it, update the SOP, and have the SOP library. So that in the future, if you have to put out a fire, that was the last time you put out that fire. That should be the mindset in the company, that Mistakes can happen or improvement can happen, but it should be the last time. You touch everything only once. And then people learn to take ownership as well for problems and solve them themselves. That is so important. So you have to understand this. You have to live this, and it starts with you. And that's why we at Consistent Performance Mentoring, we stress all the time that if you want to be successful in your business and you want to scale your business, it always starts with you as the leader. It doesn't matter if you're right now at 6 figures and want to scale to 7 figures and you're just building a team. Well, you are hiring the right people. You are setting up the SOPs. You are making sure that the right people sit in the right seats, that you're building the right culture, the right expectations from the start. So if you're not doing that correctly, if you're not enforcing those expectations, you're building it on the wrong foundations directly, and mistakes and subpar performance will become the norm. Or maybe you already have a bigger team and you're trying to grow that further, or you just want to systematize the business more, so take yourself out of the operations. Well, even then, you are the one making the big decisions. So with what values and with what expectations and after which standards are you going to make these decisions there? That's super important. So that's the foundation for everything. There's no bad team, only a bad leader. And so you as the person have to make sure that you work on yourself, show up the most important, with the best habits you can have every day, the best amount of discipline, and making sure that you inspire people and live by example. You have to practice what you preach. You have to yourself take ownership if you make a mistake. And then you make sure that this culture of ownership goes down into the team. That when people make a mistake, they will then take ownership for that as well, and then make sure they correct it. Okay, that's why super important mindset to take over. I recommend you as well the book Extreme Ownership. There's great other books out there by Jocko Willink, and take that into consideration now when you set up new SOPs, when you set up the foundations for your company, which are super important to have very clear your values in your company, your mission and vision, of course, and then clear expectation. What are you tolerating? What are you not tolerating? What are your standards? What are behaviors? How is communication going? Super important, because you will get frustrated all the time if these things are not properly aligned. Okay. So if you want any more tips on that, let me know if that's some topic that's interesting for you. And I hope that was helpful for you guys. And if you want any help with that, also go to killianmarket.com and we can have a chat about this, how we might be able to help you with this. All right. Hope you have a great day and talk to you on the next episode.